Hello, welcome to my fourth module on JavaScript AI Developer course. Now in this presentation, I will discuss all about functions. Now, functions in JavaScript are so fundamental, they are considered to be building blocks that will allow you to encapsulate code for reuse, organization, and abstraction. They can be defined in several ways that can take parameters. It could also return the value and then assign it to variables. Now, there are comprehensive overviews of how functions are written in JavaScript. Let me name a few. Well, we can have a function declaration, which defines the name function. We have the function expression itself, which will define the function that can be assigned to a variable. Arrow functions, which provide a more concise syntax for writing the function. Function parameters and its arguments. Well, we can take parameters and you can pass arguments when you call them. There are also default functions. You can set it to have a default value for parameters. Rest parameters, it's some kind of a syntax that will allow you to represent an indefinite number of arguments as an array. Returning variables, function can return values using a statement that is return. Higher order functions, well, it happens that functions can take other functions also as arguments. Return functions are called higher order functions. Well, we can have a closure. Closure is a function that retains access to the lexical scope even when the function is executed outside the scope. Well, function binding, you can explicitly set the value of this using call, apply, or bind. Well, in conclusion, understanding how to define the functions effectively is so crucial for a JavaScript developer, and I will demonstrate that through this project. The project is called a text analyzer. It will analyze a text for word count and frequency of letters. So let's start the project by copying the description and pasting it to perplexity.ai. Now I have done that, and I have added an additional statement that he should write the code in separate JavaScript, CSS, and HTML. Now here's the generated HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and all we need to do is to copy each of them and place it to their corresponding files here in IntelliJ. Now I have made the folder called text analyzer, and I have created the files separately: index.html, script.js, styles.css, and I have pasted the corresponding codes for the index, script, and style.css. Now in this index.html, let me discuss it briefly. Again, we have the character set as UTF-8, and we have a viewport, content with device width and initial scale set to 1, and the title is a text analyzer, and we have a link to the external CSS that is styles.css, and we have the style CSS here, and later on we'll try to discuss it, the content of the styling. But for now, let's consider the text analyzer. That's the heading. We need to have an input for the user, so that is input a text. The user has to input a text for analysis. Now we have a text area where the user will input the text. So it essentially has 4 rows and 50 columns, the text area, and we have a button to analyze the text. So let's try to see that clearly by opening it in a browser. My browser is Chrome. So here we have it. We have the enter text and the text area, and also the analyze button. As you can see, we have plenty of space for the user to input his text. Now after that, we can have identification for the result, there's a class called results container. Well, we have divided it into two columns. The first column is the word count, where it will display the word count. That's the identification. And the other one is a letter frequency, and the identification is letter frequencies. So here in the first column, it will display the word count, and in the second column, it will display the letter frequency results. Okay, so this is well, if we click the button, we could call on the function. Since we are discussing functions here, we will call the function analyze text, and this analyze text is a function written here in script.js, and we will go to that. But first, let's try to discuss the styles.css. So as you can see, there's a margin of 20 pixels, and font family is sans serif. Well, in the text area, we have a bottom margin of 50 pixels, so that's quite big here. We have a 50 pixels here, a spacing between the text area and the analyze button. So add a space below the text area, so that's around 50. So we have a style result section. So the result section, we have a margin on top which is 20 pixels. So in the results, you have a margin there on top that's around 20 here. So in between the analyze button and the results. So add a space above the result section. And in the style of the letter frequency display, we add 5 pixels, a space above the letter frequency results list. So in every letter posted, there's a 5 pixel spacing. Okay, so let's try to populate this. So for example, my name, in the text area, I type my name is Michael. And before we hit the analyze button here, let me try to discuss what will happen first, and we can encapsulate that by analyzing the function. The function here is written in, there are 3 functions here. Okay, so let me try to discuss it one by one. So the first one is we have to count the words. So to count the words, then we have to split by spaces and remove empty strings, and then we count the length of the word. So it happens that there may be spaces. All we need to do is to have a split and a filter in order for us to split the spaces and remove empty strings, and that will return the length of the words, or the total number of the words. So for example, here my name is Michael, we have 4. So here we have functions to check if the character is alphabetic, so without using regular expressions. Okay, so without using a library, the way to do that is Perplexity.ai have done it by comparing it with an ASCII value of the character. So it happens that we can compare it with the ASCII characters number 65 to 90, and the character code here is 97 to 122 for the lowercase and the uppercase. So here we check within the uppercase A to Z or the lowercase A to Z range. So it corresponds to these character codes. So between 65 to 90 and between 97 to 122. Now that's it. We can see, or we can analyze if the the text input by the user is indeed a character, or it is alphabetic in form, the character. Now after checking that it is alphabetic, okay, so we can now write a function to count the frequency of the letters given the text. Now here, in this letter frequency, it takes on text, and we have a constant here. We have defined a constant letter frequency. We create an empty object to store letter counts. So essentially, we have to create the it in order for us to store the letter counts. So how do we take on the letter counts now? So we need a for loop. The condition here is if we call on is alpha, and again is alpha, we'll just check if the character is a letter. And how will he do that? By checking by comparing it with the ASCII value of the characters in this ranges. Okay, so upon checking that, so we need to convert it into lowercase. We can convert it to lowercase to avoid case sensitivity. Okay, so everything there is converted to lowercase. Now we use now the letter frequency and the lower characters. So we need to increment the count to initialize it to 1. So if we detect the first letter, so we just have to set it to 0, and then we loop through all of the letters, and after a while, if it encounters the letter again, it has to be incremented by the count has to be incremented by once, because we are counting the number of letters, hence the name letter frequency in the function. So we have identified the 3 functions here. Now let's try to use it here in our main function. Now in the main function, to analyze the input text and display the results, so we get the element by ID, input text, whatever the input text by the user here. So that's input text. Okay, so whatever is written in the text area, we use that. And the constant now is defined here for the word count. So we get element ID by word count, and then we display word count. Okay, so where's the word count? So here in the index, the word count is here at the first column. So we count the words in the text and display the results. So here the word count is $word count. Okay, now we utilize here the function which is count words. Okay, count words text. Okay, so we will use the function, we will call upon the function count words text, and then we need to display it here, $word count. And after displaying the the word count in the first column, now's the time for us to display the letters in the second column. Now the letters there will be displayed, and its associated count, or the letter frequency. How many times does it appear in the text? Now we identify a constant here, or we define a constant, that's letter frequency, and then we assign text. So we call upon the letter frequency function. The letter frequency function, as I have said, will not only will it check for the character if it is a letter and convert it to lowercase, it will count or initialize it to 1, or it will count the letters, that is the letters present in the text. So for the first character, that's assigned as 0. So after a while, if it encounters the same character, that will be appended by 1, the count increment by 1, and so on. So get the element ID, that is the letter frequency. The letter frequency is in the second column, or in the right side. In the left side, we have the first column, which is the word count. Now we loop through each letter in the frequency object and display its count. Now we define a for loop for the letter in the letter frequency. For every letter that you will find in the letter frequency, we can assign a constant, which is the frequency, and then that is the letter frequency letter. So we ensure that the property belongs to the object. Now we have we will define a constant, that's p document that create element p, which will create a paragraph element. So within this paragraph element, we need to display the letter and its associated frequency. So that's the dollar letter and the dollar frequency. Now in the letter, there's an associated frequency. Now the frequency, we need to call upon the letter frequency function. The letter frequency function here, as I have said, is defined as letter frequency. Okay, so we call on the letter frequency and then assign the letter. So here's the letter frequency again. So it will count the corresponding letters. So this will set the text content with the letter and its frequency now, and after that we need to append the paragraph to the results. So we need to append the child, okay, in order to display the corresponding letter and the frequency. So that's it. That's essentially how the code will work. Now let's try to test it. Now if I press analyze, okay, so we have the corresponding word count and the letter frequency. So let me do it again. Open in the browser, and that's Chrome. So my name is Michael. So analyze. So we have a word count here. That's essentially 4. That's correct, because my name is Michael. It has 4 words in it, and here the corresponding frequency of the letters. So for M, we have 3. Is that correct? Yes, we have 3 M's. For Y, we have 1 Y, and so on. So here I have demonstrated the how to create a function and how to use the function effectively in JavaScript. And in the next presentations, we will discuss more, and we will explore more projects in JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. But for now, that's all. Thank you.